Most people have it completely backwards. They spend their 20s and 30s buying things that feel like wealth, the shoes, the car upgrade, the apartment in the right zip code, and then they wonder why, at 38, they still check their bank balance before buying groceries. It's not because they didn't earn enough, it's because nobody ever told them what rich people actually buy first. And here's the part that will probably annoy you. Most of the things on this list cost less than a dinner out. I'll get to number one in a moment, and when I do, you're either going to feel relieved or slightly embarrassed, possibly both. But before we get there, there's something you need to understand about how wealth actually gets built in America today. Because the strategy that worked for your parents, it's been quietly obsolete for about 15 years. Stay with me. The first thing wealthy people buy, before the investments, before the real estate, before anything you've seen on a finance channel, is time. Not literally. You can't buy hours, but you can buy back your attention. And the single cheapest way to do that is an audiobook or podcast subscription. Not because content is magic, but because the average American spends about 54 minutes a day commuting. That's over 300 hours a year sitting in a car, listening to nothing or worse. Talk radio that leaves you more anxious than when you started. The people quietly building wealth are running the same hours through a different filter. They're absorbing ideas, frameworks, mental models, while everyone else is just getting older. Drop $12 a month on Audible, that's the first purchase. The second thing is a slightly better notebook, not an expensive one. A $5 Leuchtturm or a simple lined journal from Target. Here's why this matters more than it sounds. Wealth creation at its core is a decision-making game, and the people who write down their decisions, what they bought, why, what they're trying to build, almost always make sharper choices over time. There's a concept in behavioral economics sometimes called decision journaling, and it's quietly one of the most underused tools in building financial clarity. When you write it down, the noise stops feeling so loud. You start to see your own patterns, and patterns are where money leaks. The third purchase sounds almost too obvious to say, but almost nobody does it. A separate savings account with a genuinely high-yield interest rate. Not your checking account, a different bank, ideally. One where the friction of moving money back is just high enough that you don't do it impulsively. The national average savings rate at a traditional bank is around 0.46%. A high-yield savings account right now is sitting somewhere between 4 and 5%. On $10,000, that's the difference between $46 a year and $450. It's not retirement money. It's a moat, a buffer. The thing that stops one bad month from becoming a financial spiral. Open it this week. That's it. That's the purchase. If you're finding this useful, drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now, because what's coming next is where most people make their most expensive mistake. The fourth thing is a library card. I'm serious. A library card in most major cities in America now gives you free access to Libby, which gives you free audiobooks, free ebooks, free courses. Some libraries have started offering free access to LinkedIn Learning, financial planning software, even legal document templates. Wealthy people are not better at finding expensive resources. They are dramatically better at extracting value from free ones. The library card is free. The discipline to use it is priceless. Fifth, a decent coffee maker for your home. This one gets mocked a lot because of the skip the latte advice that's been beaten to death. But that's not why I'm listing it. I'm listing it because the habit of making something at home, anything, changes your relationship with convenience spending. When you realize the oat milk latte you're paying $7 for costs you about $1.40 to make at home, you start looking at everything else differently. The coffee maker isn't about coffee. It's about training your brain to ask every single time, what am I actually paying for here? The sixth purchase is a calendar blocking system. And yes, this counts. Your time is money, except it's actually more valuable than money, because money can come back, but Tuesday at 11 a.m. is gone forever. Whether it's Google Calendar set up properly or a physical weekly planner, people who control their schedule control their output. People who let the world schedule them are always reacting. always behind, always wondering where the week went. Seventh, and this one will feel like a gear shift, is a first aid kit combined with a basic medication stockpile. Generic ibuprofen, antihistamines, antacids, bandages. This sounds like a survival prepper list, but hear me out. The average unexpected medical visit in America costs between $150 and $300 even for something minor. People who get ahead financially are not immune to surprise expenses. They're just better at absorbing them cheaply. A $40 first aid kit and a $20 trip to the CVS generic aisle eliminates a meaningful category of financial friction entirely. The eighth thing to buy is the cheapest legitimate version of whatever software or tool your career depends on. If you're in marketing, it's Canva or an analytics tool. If you're in finance, it's Excel or a course on financial modeling. If you're a writer, it's Grammarly or Hemingway. The return on investment here is not metaphorical. The people who get promoted, who get freelance clients, who get asked back, they are almost always slightly more capable than the person next to them. Not dramatically, just slightly, and that slightly is usually a 10-a-month subscription away. Number 9 is a quality multi-tool or a basic toolkit. This is the unglamorous one. But the hidden cost of not knowing how to do basic repairs, a leaky faucet, a cabinet hinge, a loose outlet cover, is staggering over a decade. Every time you call someone for something you could have handled in 20 minutes, you're paying $200 to $300 for a skill gap. The toolkit costs $35. The multi-tool costs $25. Morgan Housel wrote about the compounding of small frictions in financial behavior, and this is exactly what he meant. It's not one bad decision, it's 1,000 small helplessnesses adding up silently. And the 10th thing, the one that actually ties all of this together, is a single financial consultation. Not a wealth manager, not a financial advisor who gets commission, a fee-only financial planner for 1 hour. It costs between $150 and $300, and what you walk away with is a map, a real one, tailored to your income, your debt, your actual situation, not a YouTube video's version of your situation. Most people spend more than that in a weekend without thinking twice. But they'll never spend $200 to understand why their money keeps disappearing. That 1 hour can be worth more than a year of generic advice. Here's what nobody tells you about building wealth in your 30s and 40s. It almost never starts with a big move. It starts with a quiet accumulation of small advantages. A better savings rate here, a recovered hour there. One habit that compounds and then another. The list you just heard doesn't require a raise. It doesn't require luck. It requires about $200 spread out over a few months, and the decision to treat your financial life like something worth investing in before the numbers get big. Most people wait until they have money to start acting like someone who manages money well. The people who get rich flip that equation entirely. You already know which kind of person you're going to be. If this shifted something for you, subscribe and share this video to your dear ones who need this. I'll see you in the next one.